We're checking into Psyck.
Psyck.
Yo, check it out. It's a sick discussion.
You tuned in to Psyck Discussions. You are now listening to a Psyck Discussion.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Psyck Discussion. As always, it's your boy Reggie So Dope.
What up, it's Devon.
What's going on, y'all? This is Marv.
And it's
It's Sam T.
I'm dead.
That's how I be like, it's your boy Reggie So Dope. It's Devon. It's Devon. Hey, everybody,
It's
what's
gonna
up?
rain.
What's up? I hope you ready to get moist. It's Samuel. What is this?
Sam After Dark.
Niggas trying to flame early, huh?
It's just crazy because
It's Reggie So Dope.
this energy doesn't match the conversation we're having today at all.
Hey, we over here talking shit.
Well,
What's the topic today,
we hope you
Reg?
guys feel good because we're gonna have hopefully a serious conversation. If not, we should all be therapized. And so today we're gonna talk about
Came
grief.
up with that term.
I don't know. Today we're gonna talk about grief.
Yeah.
In Chicago, so often, right? We lose so many people to gun violence, but like just also in life. The number one thing that is guaranteed to you when you are born is when you die.
Yeah.
You don't know when, but you know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So today I want to talk about grief and just like grieving processes. And so to kick it off, like, what exactly is grief?
I think grief is something that comes when someone deals with the loss of like someone that has died, passed away. Pretty much in a simple terms.
Okay.
That's a good way to put it. Someone is just feeling some sort of pain for something they lost, someone they lost, something they couldn't see themselves without.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I concur with all that. Basically, just something that you have to something that you are dealing with when you lose, and I don't think it just pertains to a person, but I think it also pertains to any. It could be a relationship.
Yeah.
It could be a job, an opportunity.
Okay. And
Break
so-
it down for us, Reg.
So
Break
on
it down. All
the
way
help
down.
guide, thehelpguide.org.
Help God.
It says grief is a natural response to loss. It's the emotional suffering that you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. Is that enough, or do y'all want me to
yeah.
keep
Go
going?
deeper.
No.
Go
That-
deeper.
I actually thought I was gonna have something to touch on, but that did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Well,
shit.
never mind.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Marv
wanted
I
more.
love
Give me
that.
more. Drop me some more.
And
You want
so-
some more?
You good? You good? We can get into it.
Nah, so given that definition, right, how we dealing with something or someone that we lost,
Yeah.
do y'all believe there is a right or a wrong way to grieve?
I don't really think there is. I don't think there. I mean, I think there is a damaging way to grieve. Like if you are involved, like if you like to, cut yourself or harm others in your grief, like that's completely unhealthy. But I mean, as long as that's not it, I don't think there's a right way or wrong way, or just to tell someone that the way they are processing their hurt or loss is invalid. And legit today, like I learned there are so many different types of grievances.
Yeah.
Like legit, they're like 10 or 12 or something like that. I mean, I could say some of them, but I don't know. Yeah.
Right? No, I feel that because grieving can take a physical, an emotional, a spiritual, social, a financial, all the O's,
Well,
right?
no, like
It can
legit.
Yeah.
There's like terms. Like look, I'm gonna say a couple. There's anticipatory grief, normal grief, delayed grief, complicated grief, disenfranchised grief, chronic grief, cumulative grief, masked grief. Like the list goes on. But
grief,
yes, like literally, they have like scientific terms, like philosophical terms for the grief. So it's just like, damn, it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
I never knew it was that deep. I mean, I know grieving is deep, but I never knew like.
It's a spectrum.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like you can hit the can't believe it actually happened stage.
Right.
Then it's like the holy shit, it did happen stage. Then it's like the how can I move on?
Right.
So it's a process.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. Suave Dev, do y'all feel like there may be a right or a wrong way to grieve?
Yeah, I think it's definitely no right way to grieve because it really depends on the person's like personality, like the life experience, their faith, like belief, how significant the person is to them that they just lost. Like all those factors play a role in probably all the terms Sam just listed off. Like which grief are you kind of thing.
Love that.
They touched on my answer. I say there is no right way. Sometimes people don't even realize that they are grieving. And outside looking in, you may be looking like, y'all want to fix my friend or the person I know, like, are they depressed? Like, but they drinking more than they used to. They smoking. They going out partying. Like, they just feel like they masking pain, or they just doing it because they think this is something they like to do. They never realize that they are grieving a loss. So you can't really tell somebody how to grieve or how to feel pain from a loss they've encountered. So I would definitely say, no, it's not the right way to grieve.
Do you think, because you said they have 5 stages, you think those are valid? Because it's what? Denial,
I think it's more,
anger.
right? I think it's more than 5, right?
Is it more than 5?
It's like
I'm
7.
trying to recall the spectrum.
I thought it was
Yeah.
denial. Well, so there were types earlier, like which there are different ways to like break those down. If you guys want to talk about the research of that, but then there's like denial, like the stages that you go through from
Shock and denial,
initial,
pain and
right,
guilt,
exactly,
anger,
yep,
Bargaining, depression, upward turn, reconstruction, acceptance, hope.
acceptance, yeah.
So there's about 7.
So it's
Yeah,
like
it's
7.
7. Can
Okay.
you repeat those again for the people, Suave?
Yeah, so the 7 stages of grief are shock and denial, then pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, the upward turn, reconstruction, and actually working through it. And the final stage is acceptance and hope.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
I love that. And something about that depression point. So that like depression, reflection, and loneliness are all kind of wrapped up
Yeah.
in that one.
Yeah. I
And
feel like that loneliness one could be a haymaker, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like, because I know people out here that have lost parents. I mean, aside from, I lost my grandmother. So, and my grandmother and my grandfather. But I still have a couple grandmothers and a grandmother and a grandfather left, and a great grandmother. But
And so that's why I'm still battling with the thought if there is a right or a wrong way to grieve. And I say that because, like, of course, cutting yourself, causing damage to you or others, like, I would love to say that that's the wrong way to grieve. But then there are moments like, I'm sorry, the loss of a parent, you can't tell anybody how to fucking grieve, whether that parent was in their life or not.
Right.
The concept that a person who brought me into this life is now gone from it, you can't tell that person how to grieve.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or even a sibling, whether they were close or not. Like, you cannot tell me how to grieve when I've just lost a person that, like, I grew up with. Like, I spent my life with. We came out of the same places.
Right,
like,
right.
oh my God.
yeah,
like,
that's gotta be tough.
you can't tell me how to grieve. Or even a cousin. Like, because some people, your cousin grew up like they were your sibling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so when it comes to that immediate family, like, I want to say you can't tell that person how to deal with that, man. Like,
Yeah.
you completely lose your mind.
You know what's crazy? And this just, I don't know, is my mind cranking while you're also saying that, right? Because we're talking about okay, cool, I lost them. But I was like reading earlier about the types of griefs or whatever, and there's one specifically, anticipatory grief, right? Where someone who could not imagine, right, losing their mom, but all they think about is when that moment happens, right? And then like I know someone that deals with that type of grief, and they always quote, it's in that book. What's that book? Oh my God, I can't think of it. I'll think of it later. I'll research it. But basically, in the book, it's a quote where it's like, the pain of thinking about it is worse than the experience itself. I'm paraphrasing here, but like, wow.
Yeah.
I've heard something like that before.
Yeah.
And I think like that anticipatory grief, it happens a lot after you've lost someone.
The Alchemist.
Got
That's
you.
what it's called.
Got you. So like, so I just lost my cousin, and literally this past weekend, me and my sister
Sorry
were
to hear
out.
that. Sorry to hear that. I said
Oh,
sorry to
oh,
hear
no,
that. Yeah,
appreciate
praise
it, man.
that,
Gratitude.
Praise that.
And so somehow the conversation goes, right? And I shitty jokes to make. And I made a joke about like dying. I know exactly what happened. So somebody was working on my car, and I told them, like, look, if my car starts smoking on my way back home, I'm just curving left, and I'm off the bridge, off whatever.
Oh.
And so it's a shitty joke, right? And so then my sister started to think about it, like, yo, I would lose my mind if you died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we started to have this moment where we started to think about how we would react or how people would react at my death. And I was like, I don't like this. Let's
let's
stop
switch
this.
the conversation.
Because I believe that manifestation is a real thing. And so like, but just that thought, that anticipation, right? Because every now and again, I don't know about y'all, I do have these thoughts of like, man, what if I lost this person? What if I died, right? And it's just the way that my mind takes those conversations, man. Like it's
crazy.
hard.
Yeah.
That definitely happens.
So my question for y'all then is like, given these stages or whatever, how do black men in general deal with grief? Black men that y'all have seen, whether it's the internet or in your personal life, like how do black men deal with grief?
Honestly, like as a black man, I deal with grief sometimes by almost not dealing with it at all in the most healthy way. Even like growing up, I didn't necessarily have like a bunch of deaths that happened like when I was younger or when I was like a teenager. So I never really had the chance to like, all right, this person just died. I should feel this type of way or I should feel another type of way. Like it just makes it kind of hard. And even like as a black man, sometimes we aren't allowed or supposed to be by like society standards to like be like super emotional or like feel any types of way about certain things. Like you're supposed to be the strong person in the family type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to my point earlier, I feel like most people don't realize that they are grieving. Like, I have friends to this day, like, we've been talking about stuff, and like, I'm not going to throw, like, situations on them, but, like, the responses they give me, like, they saying, like, they facing whole blunts to themselves. Like, they drinking more than they used to. Like, motherfuckers I know don't never rap. They out here spitting bars. Like, bro, I'm like, bro, like, anything to get it off their chest. Like, they don't really realize, kind of what Devon was saying, like, society don't really have a space or for black men to be vulnerable to grieve. Like, you got other shit to worry about. Like, being black, you got a strike on your back at all times. So you don't really got time to worry about something that you lost. Like, you got people to take care of. You got to worry about other people looking at you sideways. So I feel like there's no specific way for them, but it's no space for us to actually grieve, though.
I'm glad y'all say that because I was honestly thinking the same thing. I mean, in general, I don't think black men grieve over losses. Because literally, as a community, black people lose so much that it starts to become normalized, and then it's expected. And so then we're just waiting to the point where it's like, okay, cool, like I lost so and so. Like I knew this was gonna happen. I'm gonna shed a tear. I'm gonna pour out this little drink, because I've been preparing myself for this, and I know that like empathy isn't gonna be a thing there. Or empathy for me and like sympathy for myself isn't gonna be a thing there. Like I'm already Xing that out.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And to me, I feel like black men in general, we deal with grief with avoidance or like with substitutions. So instead of thinking about it, instead of feeling it, really experiencing that grief process, let's go play the game. Let's face that blunt. Let's go drink some more or fuck it, let's go kick it. I want to kick it a lot more. Like, there is just so many different ways we try to like bury the thought of the things that we lost instead of like working through them. Right. What's up?
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so to make it a little more personal, and Devon kind of went through like how do he personally grieve, but like how do y'all like, and us as individuals, how do we grieve?
Before we go there, I'm sorry. I do want to make a note and just acknowledge that we know that black men don't really grieve, but I do want to acknowledge the empathy and sensitivity and the grief that we have dealt with most recently with police brutality and everything that happened with George Floyd. I mean, the community, we saw grief. We've been seeing grief, and we continue to see grief. So I want to just give a shout out and applause to the black community that has finally allowed themselves to grieve and to say enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's two sides to stand up, but also to like, you know, the candlelight vigils, the peaceful, you know, sit downs, the moments of silence, like the recognition for black life.
Okay. Appreciate it.
But that was on my soapbox,
True,
like,
true.
but it's important, you know, it's important.
You might as well go ahead and tell how you grieve.
Individually,
Yeah.
I got to clear my mind.
What does that
Just
look
like, I mean, well, so what does that look like? And just to, cause we've already touched on venting, right? So that can be a form of it. But in addition, I try to allow myself to be in a more patient space. So I want to employ patience upon myself, as well as an activity that I can do, just something to like really like not dive that deep into it. Like even or if I do want to get into the fields, maybe I'll listen to some music that would be themed like, and I'll just drive and like tune into some jams, and I'll just like let the feels come, but also like accept them. Yeah.
Okay. Devon gave his. I'll go. So I would definitely say, going back to what we was talking about earlier, is there a right way or a wrong way to grieve? We said no, there isn't. But I would definitely say I think mine is definitely more of an unhealthy way of grieving. So I kind of basically realized, like, thinking about it, I have two. Thinking about two serious situations. So I would say one was when my grandmother passed away when I was in college. I didn't really honestly focus on the loss until literally until I left college. I had so much going on, from like organizations, from relationships, friendships, like kicking in on weekends. I really had no time to actually process the fact that I lost my grandma.
Yeah.
And like I think I lost her like in the middle of spring break. I only had like 3 more days of spring break. So like I had 2 days like just to myself, like not even really crying or anything, just trying to figure out like what happened, who to talk to, my mom, my brother, like check on them. And then like class kicked back in, like orgs kicked back in, like friends came back. So I didn't have time for really like 2-3 years to actually sit down and realize like, damn, I actually lost my granny. Like how do I feel about this? I had a million things distracting me, but when nothing happened, like I graduated, no job, I was like, okay, shit's starting to resurface. So I like distracted myself that way. And then probably honestly last year, I started going out a lot more for like brunches, and I started going skating a lot. But I realized like I was drinking a lot more. So I'm like attributing it to like, I'm just having fun. Like I'm turning up at brunch while I drink before I go skating, and then realizing like there was some other shit that was happening underneath the surface. Like I'm kind of masking this as like having fun. Like I'm still enjoying myself. These are things I love to do, like hang out with friends and then go skating. But I am drinking way more than I usually would doing these things. So I'm just like attributing to I'm just having fun. But like when I slowed down, especially when Corona hit, I can't go skating as much. I can't go out to brunch. So I'm like, I'm not drinking as much. I'm like, damn, why was I drinking that much? And then it kind of hit like, I was kind of going through some shit. I was kind of attributing it to having fun, but that's not the case at all, actually. So those are my main 2 ways, thinking back on it.
So, man, initially and for the majority of my life, the way that I dealt with grief was by being strong for other people.
Okay.
Like, I would not even, like, allow myself to process, because I'm like, okay, let me be the rock for everybody else. Like, I'm good, y'all not good, let me help you
here.
be good.
I'm gonna hold y'all, man.
You know what I mean? And so, like, that's the way that I used to deal with it until a few years ago, actually. Shout out to Beyonce. When she talked about the way she dealt with, like, grief and just these extreme emotions. And she said how she'll give herself 2 days to really be in the shit. Listening to the terrible music, eating ice cream, drinking, like really fucking herself up to really feel that grief and that emotion. And then after that 2 days, it's like, all right, now how do I put this into something? How do I give it a space where it lives so that I can continuously tap into it when I need to?
Right.
And so, like, that's what I've started doing over the last few years. I'll give myself a few days to really feel that shit. I mean, crying, snotting, all that. You know what I mean? And then on my recovery day, so technically day 3, so I'm either putting it in a poem or I'm writing, or that's when I'll start to vent to my friends, my people. But I always, whatever I'm grieving, eventually I'll put it in a piece, whether it's a think tank, a quote, a poem, a sketch, whatever. Like, I'll put it in an artistic way so that it lives forever.
I was about to say, yeah, that's dope because it allows it to live forever.
Exactly, and so
And
then
then you
I
don't
can
lose
tap
it.
back into it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I
That's
never
dope.
want to get to the point where something that I grieve so heavy, I never remember again.
Sure.
Like man, like that level of where are you mentally towards something that fucked you up so badly, you eventually just let it drift off and it doesn't affect you at all anymore. Like I at least want to honor that thought and honor that moment and give it a place to live.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's dope.
with that style of agreement, I definitely want to ask you a question. So you said you allow it to live on through like some form of art, poetry, whatever you like to do. So that technically doesn't mean it's always gone. So like, can you still technically grieve things that are alive and like, you know, you feel like you found ways to work through it, but it's not necessarily gone. So can you still technically grieve things that are still there?
I mean, I think you can. I definitely think you can, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily embody someone who has passed, right? It then embodies maybe a lost relationship,
Yeah.
maybe a job that you loved so much that you could, or your business that was your baby, or even a loss of a limb. Like now you don't have no arm or no leg. You know what I'm saying? Missed
Yeah.
opportunity.
I'm just childish. Yeah.
You are childish.
I didn't.
You was about to
I
laugh.
didn't see you going there.
I mean, that you can grieve.
I
My
knew you
arm
said
is
that.
gone.
Yeah, no, I know, man. And phantom pains are real.
It just caught him off guard. It just caught him off guard. I saw
Oh my
him. He just
He tried to turn away. Like, no, don't do it, Reggie. Don't.
I'm so sorry.
So petty.
I promise I'm not laughing at the circumstance. I just knew he was going into profound territory. He said, "You just lost the arm." I was just like, "Oh shit." But no,
But yeah, you
Yeah.
still alive, but
You know what?
no. So I say that to
I'm-
get
but
back
that's not
serious,
funny,
so we
but
don't
that's not
offend
funny.
nobody. But like, no, phantom pains are a real thing, and it's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
even when mentally you're over it, there are moments where you still feel pressure or pain in that place, and it's not there no more. And I can only imagine how damaging that is.
oh my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah.
Like for real, for real.
I literally no.
Yeah, you can definitely grieve the loss of like a relationship or friendship that had to end because like at one point you had a very strong connection with said person. Like y'all might have talked every day, talked about everything, and then like it goes to like nothing. Y'all not talking. Like that's very abrupt, and like you have to
Yeah.
deal with
Yeah.
that.
No, yeah, I'm definitely
Yeah.
still grieving some friendships. Like, and I honor that. I address it. That was a person who was literally like my best friend. Like, there was no question that he was my best friend. Like, sorry everybody else who were really good friends to me. Like, no matter what, this was my best friend. And we just had this moment when we didn't. So one, he hit me up without asking how I was, where I was mentally, and I wasn't in a good space in the time that he called. But because this was my best friend and I was not good at setting boundaries there, instead of not answering, of course I'm gonna pick up. And without asking me what's up with me, he starts to just download his shit onto me.
Yeah.
And I already had a full cup with my own shit.
Yeah.
And so essentially what happened was I just lost my patience. Like because we were talking about like his fashion line and the things he was gonna do with clothes, but he had this like high fashion and it wasn't really selling because a shirt was $800, a bomber jacket was $1,300, and it's like ain't nobody gonna buy that, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like people were buying it, so but in that moment I'm sorry, so I'm giving him, and I'm
The
still
average
trying to be
person.
there, right? So I'm still like, nah, maybe you should do an urban line too, right? That way you can sell some shirts, some hats to help you, you know, keep
Make
your
some money,
business
right.
afloat, right? And he literally hits me with the no, this is high fashion, yada yada yada, and I literally cut him off and said, well, bro, I don't know what the fuck you want from me.
Right.
I don't know what you want. Because one, I'm not in a good place, but two, every idea I give you, you shoot it the fuck down.
Right.
I don't know what you want from me.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that shit can get real irritating.
And so we hung
Real
up
quick.
shortly after that. You know, quick, I'm gonna call you back. Never get the call back, right? And so in my mind, I'm just like, okay, this is a moment. We'll talk about it.
Right.
And I just remember moving into my crib, and I invite him to come over, and I just get like a K, type of message. I'm like, oh, wait, there might still be beef here.
Yeah.
And we have not talked since then. And believe it or not, the motherfucker released a t-shirt line. And so when I thought I was over it, that's when my grief hit. Like, yo, we really not talking? And then you still went forth with the idea I gave you?
Yeah.
Oh, that fucked me up. That fucked me up.
That's fucked up.
Like,
That's
what?
crazy. Like, bro.
And every now and again, I think about that, and I'm like, you fucked up bitch. You crusty bitch. Never buy your shirt. Meanwhile, though, I still support
I'm
from
still
afar
supporting.
because I'm kind of over it. Like, at the end of the day, but I'm still grieving friendships.
Same, yeah. But honestly, it's kind of interesting, in my opinion. Like, I think I grieve more the friendships that I've ruined versus, like, I just fell out with somebody, we drifted apart, or, like, they kind of ruined it. No matter how close it was, like, looking back on some of the real close friendships I have, like the ones that I feel like I could have did something different, or I was the reason they kind of dismantled, those are the ones I would be like, damn, like.
Oh, what?
I think it hits me a little bit, it hits me harder than, like, if I just grew apart with someone I used to be close with. Like, I feel like, because that way I can still hit them up every now and then, or if they did something to me, I feel like the ball's in my court.
Right,
so
right.
I still have some control. Like, I can reach out to them if I want to, but I'm just choosing not to.
Yeah.
But the ones that I fucked up, I'll be like, do I want to go back and try and fix it? Like,
Yeah.
So that
Do you send the fourth text or not?
Yeah,
Not
like,
the fourth.
And sometimes it's not meant for me to go back and fix those relationships. Like,
But you can still grieve them.
yeah, I definitely do.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
get what you're saying.
and I'm saying that because I relate.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. Actually, which is something that just came to my mind. I know I say I grieve more than ones I usually have something to do with the ending, but I do have someone that's really close to me in my family. And it just really hit me over the past, like, couple months. Like, it wasn't really my doing why we aren't the way I wanted to be. And I kind of have to realize and accept, like, this may be a relationship I wanted to be, like, all out, like, the best relationship. Like, I see friends, like, when they with their family members, like, this specific family member, like, say it's like a cousin. Like, they have, like, the best relationship. Like, they laugh, they joke, like, they very open. I don't have that with this person. So I have to just accept, like, damn, it's never gonna be that. So, like, it definitely hurts me. So it's like, yo, it's not on my end, because I definitely reach out, I try, but it's just not reciprocated. So it's like, damn, it really hurts me. Like, I'm gonna have to just cut it off. Like, I'm gonna have to fall back. Like, we may talk every now and then, just realize, like, it's not what I want it to be. So, like, even though they're not completely cut off from me, it's not a complete loss, but I did lose, like, a dream of mine, like, in my head, like, how I want this relationship to be. It's not gonna happen. So so I'm still, like, grieving that loss. I have to accept, like, it's not gonna be what I want it to be.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy because I'm still at the moment I'm not grieving it, but my last relationship I was in a relationship for I want to say like almost 2 years. So with that person, me being bi, like, that was the first guy I was, like, out and, like, about with, people knew I was with. And, like, for that to end, it was like, that was kind of something I thought I foresee, like, being, like, long term, and, like, oh, we in this forever, it's been 2 years or whatever, and we gonna keep this going strong. But then it got to a point to where it just wasn't working out anymore, and that, I mean, it kind of sucked. But then it's, like, also life. Like, I mean, sometimes you meet people for a reason, and sometimes for a season. So yeah, that would be my
And you feel like
personal
you
thing.
still grieving that?
I would say yes and no. Kind of some ways I've even dealt with that was working out more, like staying busy, and, like, talking to people about it. So I mean, not saying some positives came out, but I mean, some positives came out. Like, I've refound myself and, like, reset kind of, and I think I'm in a healthier space than I was even, like, in the relationship or in before it started. So that's kind of funny.
So you saying it just made me think about something that's so common when, like, I feel like one of the primary ways men grieve, like, fuck that. people grieve relationships.
Yeah.
It's about opening them DMs, opening up them apps, and get the dropping meat. Thought
mode.
Like, so this is a small tidbit. Like,
Thought
do y'all
mode.
grieve that way, or is it just me?
Trying to blow up the spots. Watch out. Let me look to the left.
Like,
Right.
yeah,
Now that we're acknowledging grieving, right? Like, I think that's a form that we grieve. We be like, man, fuck that.
I'm back out here, bro.
I mean,
We back out here.
there's a few extra cuddle sessions that probably didn't need to happen. But I mean, that was that. And back and
I'll
I'm better.
take this one. G. I got you. I got you, G. You good, bro.
They ain't just throwing a monkey wrench in it.
I swear did.
Hey,
I'm
Reggie
sorry.
fucking up. Some people like talking to somebody out here. Reggie, the fuck they set up.
You a rebound, we
Okay,
born
man.
in.
Oh, the rebound.
What a rebound we mourning, sir.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
People are gonna hate this.
oh,
Okay, I'm
God.
sorry. I'm crying for real, Lamar.
Yo,
What
I'm
he
definitely
said.
that person where like I'm getting out of something. I'll be like, I'm gonna take some time to myself. I'm gonna just fall back. I'm gonna just start back working out, and that's the exact opposite happens. Like I'm back out here. Like, I'm out here like I be thinking like why am I doing that though? Like if I want to date, I want to do whatever I gotta do. I'm back out here. Like if I want to hop in DMs, should I be somebody while I'm out? I'm getting that though. So I would definitely like
Get
to
in
say
that
I'm the
though.
person who be like, no, I'm gonna take some time to myself. I'm gonna do me. Like I'm about self care. Like which I am, but. It may last like a week. It may last like a week then. So I'm
Talking
like,
about what's the streets looking like?
I feel like younger me probably would be like, okay, cool. I'ma holla at like all the women that I know, or like whatever the case is. Maybe not, maybe not go into full like womanizer or some shit like that, but just like, okay, cool. Like I've now freed up some time and space, but I think now, if that were to be the case, then I would probably take some time, for sure. Yeah.
Until you like Marv. I'm sorry.
I would really take some
No,
time.
yeah,
for sure,
no,
for sure.
definitely.
It's not bad.
No, right,
Okay,
yeah.
so that was a small commercial break. Before we keep moving, like,
Yeah.
are there things that you are currently, or things or people that you're currently like grieving?
I mean, I would definitely touch on what Marv was talking about earlier, like on some friendships that I ruined type shit. I can grieve those, like on some damn. I completely took myself out of that space. I fucked that shit up by being in my own, you know what I'm saying, selfish mode or whatever. I wasn't like the most considerate, and then probably once again, you made another point just on some like inner family shit that just hasn't come full circle, and just need to find some clarity. But it's all good.
Okay.
And yeah.
I like that. So given that we've kind of all acknowledged something that we may or may not be grieving, what steps are we taking to heal, if any? Because we could just be like, damn, I just identified this, and it's fresh, right? But so if there are some steps that we're taking to heal, what are they?
I mean, like I said earlier, working out, getting the new body right, so I can hit the streets now. But no, once again, healthier, a better diet. I just like completely like just resetting and like recalibrating like myself, my thoughts, and just like preparing myself more so for life. And if I find someone else to be in a relationship with, if I don't, it's like it's no pressure, just living life, taking it a day at a time, doing me. Yeah.
I'd probably say acceptance with the things I can't change. What's that quote? Acceptance of the things I can't change.
Sam, love a quote.
And moving forward and better cultivating the relationships I can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, or just in bettering or creating a closer connection with, you know what I'm saying, the relationships that
The stuff you still
that I
have.
can that I can improve, you know.
So kind of like using it as like a lesson and like applying it to your relationships you still have.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, and I was more so speaking on like kind of both of the points that I touched on some, okay, cool. Like if that's some situation I can't change, like I need to accept it and like leave the grief alone. But then also on the other side, right? Like, okay, cool. Like this is what we're dealing with now, and like now we need to figure out how to then make this whole. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I
Right.
like that. I think what I do to start to heal is like, one, again, I give my grievances a place to live. You know what I mean? That way I can revisit them. And luckily as a speaker, like, there are stories that I tell, and like because I have so many different friend groups and people that I vent to, it's like I give that story or that person I think I'm grieving a place to live, and then I tell those stories. You know what I mean? And so in telling the stories, it allows me to heal, because bottling things up completely doesn't work for me anymore. I don't think it actually ever worked, but now I just completely know it doesn't work. And then, I fast and I detox a lot. When I know, like, oh shit, like my emotions, I'm just not okay, I'll literally do a fast or I'll do a detox. And then when I lost my cousin, I made the mistake of fasting and detoxing at the same time.
Sheesh.
I would never recommend that. It's not even that I almost fell out. So I never threw up. What happened is when you detox, right? You shit a lot. But with this fast, it's a 36-hour fast. So all I can drink is water. No food, no fruit, no smoothie, no none of that. Do you not know how tender my asshole was at the end of that day?
Please.
Bro, like a ribeye steak, bro. At one point, I just said, I'm gonna lay here. Fuck that, you listening now. At one point, I wanted to lay there. Then I was like, yo, I Googled, like, how do you remove your fucking asshole? I was just ready to lose it.
So Marv.
So, drastic term.
So Devon.
So, yeah. So I would say fast or detox, but please never do it at the same time.
Are you running still?
I did run that day. I ran that day, actually, and then I just laid there ready to die at night. It was a rough day. I felt better the next day. I just didn't think I would make it. Back to you, Marv.
Reggie the wild card. Reggie the wild card.
Whoa.
Back on track. Grieving for me.
Please.
I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes for me, I don't know what to do. Like I feel like I'm stuck and I do nothing.
Maybe you should fast.
Maybe.
Don't detox.
I'm at the starting point for me, honestly, now. It's like I at least acknowledge how I feel about stuff. I was telling y'all earlier with my grandma, I would just find things to keep me busy. But even if I don't know what to do, like how to start, I would at least just acknowledge how I'm feeling about whatever I'm going through. Like I lost a friend, I lost a family member. Like let me at least take a step back and realize like, yo, it's really fucking with me more than I think it is. Or like, I thought it was gonna affect me more, but it's really not. Like let me at least figure out how I'm feeling about this situation. So that's my starting point. And like you said, I may start to work out more. I may kick it with friends. I might actually open up and talk about it more. So that's my starting point. I try to at least figure out like how I'm truly feeling about the situation I'm going through. Sometimes I have no idea where to start. Like shit, literally no idea. I'm just stuck.
Yeah.
It happens.
Okay. All right. That was dope. And that was a lot. And I don't want us to start to go on tangents. So let's start to wrap this up.
Wrap it up.
So, what advice would y'all give someone that just doesn't deal with grief well?
I definitely would say, like Reggie mentioned earlier, don't try to bottle stuff in. Try to at least talk to someone about it, or try to like put it out there in the universe in like one spot so you can deal with it. Like try your best, as best as you can, like deal with the grief and make sure you actually grieve something. Otherwise, it's probably gonna come back up later and like haunt you almost.
True.
So, yeah.
True. Devin wrapped up what I was going to top into. Like,
Marv.
You kind of lay it right into my point. Actually, there's no timeline. Like, don't think just about it's been a year, it's been a month, a week, it's been 10 years. Like, there's no certain timeline for grieving. Like, you could lose a close family member. It may affect you 10 years from now. Hopefully, it doesn't. Hopefully, you found ways to process through. But don't try to rush the process. Like. You have a friend that went through the same exact situation. Like they got over it in a month, 2 months. Yeah. You may be like, what's wrong with me? Like I should be over it by now. But no, like definitely take your time and just work through it. Don't rush it.
Yeah. I would have to. I don't really have too much because you guys have covered it all. So I would definitely say listen to Devon Marv.
Facts.
Take
No,
that time.
Same, man.
Yeah.
Again, comparison kills. So do not compare your
Yeah.
grieving process to anyone else's.
True.
And at least be able to acknowledge and say out your mouth, like, I'm not grieving well. I don't deal with grief well.
Right.
And be at a point to just where you want to do better.
Yeah.
The resources come, right? When the student is ready, the teachers will always appear. So that's the advice I have for someone that doesn't deal with it well.
Already.
That was a great conversation.
It
Woo.
was.
That was dope. Like, I felt that.
Well,
But
no.
let's go ahead and end this thing, man. We thank y'all so much again for tuning in.
Big thanks.
As always, you know, our world is sick.
But conversation is the cure.
Sick.